Let's take a look at self-employed and W2 employees. How does IRS view them separately? In terms of filing taxes, and also what kind of documentation is required between those two set of people.
Okay. So for W2, like I said earlier, it's pretty straightforward because your employer also files your W2 with the IRS. Okay. So automatic, like sometimes I'll hear some people tell me, oh, I don't want to report this income. Hello?
Hey.
If your social security number is on that document, the IRS has it. So you don't have a choice. It could be interest income or dividend or W2, or it's just a small W2. Maybe you worked for just 1 month with this employer, or it was just 3 days. If they issued you a W2, trust me, the IRS has it already. So yes, W2 is pretty straightforward. So you have that, you file it on your tax return. Now, where it gets interesting is if you're self-employed. Now, self-employed people, you can also receive something called a 1099. Where if you do work for several people, because the IRS requires if they pay you more than $600 to send you a 1099. So if they have issued you a 1099, that 1099 has been reported to the IRS as well. Now, let me back up a little bit. Whether they issue you a 1099 or not, really, you should keep records of your income and your expenses. So if you're self-employed, let's say I work for you, DJ, and then you pay me. Whether you give me a 1099 or not, it is upon me to report that income on my tax return.
Really?
Yes. Even if you pay me cash, even if you pay me by Venmo.
Well, I'm hearing that for the first time.
Cash App.
Really?
Apple Pay.
Really?
Google Pay. I haven't delved a lot into Bitcoins, but bottom line, if you pay me, it is upon me to include that income on my tax return.
Whether you receive W2 or 1099, any income that you receive should be reported in your tax returns.
Yes. Now, keep in mind, this tax return, especially for the self-employed people, it serves so many purposes. Now, we see like older people, when they're older, where they begin to draw from Social Security and then they qualify for Medicare. For W2 people, if you look on your W2, there's box 1, box 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. There's the wages, federal tax withheld, Social Security wages, Social Security tax, Medicare wages, Medicare tax. Now, when you're self-employed, you are the boss and the employee. So you have to, part of the tax self-employed people pay covers Social Security tax, Medicare tax. So when you're self-employed, when you're older, you can also draw from Social Security. And you have paid into the system for Medicare also. So where some people cheat themselves with self-employment, all in the name of, you want refund back, you just want to show a loss, they are not paying into Social Security. They are not paying to Medicare. Yeah, there are different schools of thought. Some people don't care. They said, Social Security doesn't, there are different schools of thought. But the law is the law. You're supposed to pay in. And again, if you're self-employed, if you're keeping records, you have every right. It is legal for you to deduct every legitimate business expense. And the way the IRS looks at it, so long as that expense is necessary and reasonable, you can deduct it. Like, hey, if we finish this beautiful session and you say, come on, Dumkele, let's go out for lunch. That is a business expense because I came here for a business purpose and you decided for us to go out. And you know what? You drove up to this place today. Your mileage, your miles, that's a legitimate business deduction. All this wonderful equipment you have. So yeah, if you're doing your things properly, recording your income and expenses, it's not like you're going to pay tax on everything you receive. You will deduct your expenses. All these nice decorations you have, they're legitimate business deductions.
What I've seen is that so many people want to get money back in their tax returns. They may be W2 employee. Somehow, there will be a self-employed business that they will include in their tax returns. And somehow, you have different kind of professionals that call themselves CPAs that the taxpayer may not even have a good idea of what they are doing with their tax returns. And the person will create a business and report some losses. And at the end of the day, when they come to me and we are talking with the mortgage lender, they will be saying, but I didn't know. But guess what? You collected some money back in your tax return.
Yes.
You see, you can't eat your cake and have it at the same time.
Yes.
So that is a warning.
Yes.
That, there might be strategies to go about these things.
Yes.
But you can't eat your cake
and have
it.
Yes. And like you said, I see that quite often.
Really?
More often than you will realize, yes. One, let me say, sentence I'll put out to our brothers and sisters: your tax return is your responsibility. At the end of the day, the IRS looks at you. The final authority for your tax return lies with you. It is upon you to insist that you see a copy of your tax return before it is submitted. I do not expect you to understand every detail on your tax return, but at least you will have an idea. Your tax preparer prepares your return. At least show me, oh, okay, you own a business. Let them show you, what is the bottom? What did I do? How did my business end up at the end of the year? If it's a loss, you will know, was your business a loss? And then you know what your W-2 income is. And then your other income items, you will know. Yes, and I understand, you want to get a refund. But remember, like that word says, it is a refund, which means they took something and they are giving back to you. Now, the tax system is, it's wonderful. There are some credits they call refundable, some non-refundable. Like if you have dependents, there are some child tax credits that you can get back even if you do not have a tax liability. But some, you will have to have a tax liability to qualify for that credit. So check your withholding also. Because if you want to get something back, if you haven't withheld enough from your W-2, what are they going to refund to you? It is a refund, which means giving back what was taken. It applies to if you're a W-2 person. Most times from your W-4, you would have filled out something to tell your employer how much they can withhold from your paycheck. And if you're self-employed, the IRS expects you to pay in quarterly tax payments.